Makgoba joins us now from the St. John's Chapel at St. George's Cathedral in Cape Town. Your Grace, good afternoon to you and a very warm welcome. Why have you seen fit then to make this statement now? What is concerning you within the Anglican Church?
Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you to your viewers. Well, Jeremy, the past 4 weeks have been almost like a millstone around my neck and our neck, and this matter is very critical. And now that it was raised, there's no need to dilly-dally. It is important to be decisive, to evaluate our systems and to put in place a mechanism that can be effective and seen to be effective, and that could encourage both the victims and the alleged perpetrators to come to the fore and to be listened to.
Is this the first time, Your Grace, that you have ever heard of allegations like this within the Anglican Church? If one
puts it within the broader Anglican Church, in the Anglican Communion, no, this is not the first time. And if one locates it within the Anglican Church in Southern Africa, and for the purposes of those that may not know, Jeremy, you know it, Southern Africa, that is the province that I preside, include Angola, Namibia, Lesotho, Swaziland, St. Helena, Mozambique, and South Africa. And we have heard in the past, and some of the cases were dealt with and concluded. Now, this is the first time somebody who was in the church and who is outside the church who has come forward, and after he came forward, another person came forward, and then 2 more persons came forward. And we realized that our system is geared at helping those that are within the church, but it is far lagging behind in terms of what can be done and should be done. Archbishop,
would you say that these 4 cases that you refer to are the only ones, or is there a suggestion, is there an intimation that this could be a lot more widespread than perhaps the clergy thinks?
I think, you know, for me, Jeremy, I've always said in the public space, in the mining space, that one death is one too many. And 4 out of the, say, 7 to 10 million Anglicans, I think the numbers are not important, but the very fact that God's children or God's child has been demeaned by those that they're supposed to really hold his or her trust is very worrying. So if there are many, we're saying right up front, we are sorry, we've noticed the 4, and we're going to create a system that is very responsive to those that come forward, but we don't have the capacity, for example, Jeremy, to deal with any flood. So we will have to use the police, and we will have to use the parishes, we'll have to use other people that come to the fore so that we deal with this definitely and precisely.
We can talk about how you're going to deal with it and the group that you have put together, but is there any sense, Archbishop Makgoba, that you have silenced this in the past, not necessarily yourself, but perhaps those who have come before you? Is it anything akin to the conspiracy of silence that we have seen, for instance, within the Catholic Church?
You know, Jeremy, I've been Anglican Archbishop for 10 years now, and I've gone through a number of records. I've got my provincial executive officer here, I've got my media person here, and in just going through the reports, at least at Bishop's Court, where these things have to be lodged, there are only a few. And then after this story broke, I wrote to all the bishops in the Anglican dioceses to say, please, we have to come clean. Are there any cases that you know that have not been dealt with, that have been reported to you? And so far, the majority of them have said no. There are cases, Jeremy, that have come before us that we know, that we have dealt with, and sentencing happened, and those cases were concluded. I don't know of any other that are outstanding as I talk to you at the moment, but I'm consulting broadly. Tomorrow, I think, Provincial Executive Officer, we're meeting also with the top lawyers of our church to say, what do we do, particularly for those clerics that may be dead now, what are the issues, how can we be more responsive? So, Jeremy, really to be direct, I don't know the answer to your question, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't have piles and piles of reports that I am sidelining, so that I can vouchsafe as the current Archbishop.
You would also be concerned, though, if you're consulting your lawyers, that should there be more, you could potentially open yourself to legal challenge.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, should there be more, we need to know how do we act pastorally, we need to know how do we act legally, and we need to know how do we become part of those that enable the law reform committee in opening the cases beyond the 5 years that is allocated. So we have to be part of the solution and say this restriction on saying what can be investigated and what cannot be investigated, it is not sufficient. And we are part of the accused, but we have to be part of those that bring about a solution.
The Anglican Archbishop of Cape Town, Your Grace, thank you very much indeed, Thabo Makgoba.